Hi everyone, and welcome to the Primavera P6 EPPM 17.7 installation video. We will be performing the installation from scratch, and that will include the virtualization platform, which we'll use VirtualBox for, the supported operating system, the database, the Weblogic application server, and eventually the P6 EPPM software suite. Just before we begin, make sure you are using a computer with enough disk space. I would recommend at least 150 gigs of free space, because we'll be using about 100 gigs for the VM itself. Make sure you have enough memory to run all these components. I would recommend a minimum of 16 gigs on the host computer. Make sure you have enough horsepower to run everything. So I would say a minimum of dual core i5 or i7 CPU should be a good start. So without further ado, we'll start by looking at the tested configurations document and the best way to find it. And since it was just released, it doesn't show up on Google just yet. So you can go to docs.oracle.com. Let's see, docs.oracle.com. Now it's correct, and you go to the applications, apps A to Z, click on the letter P for Primavera, and go to the Primavera applications. Here you scroll down to the P6 EPPM documentation, and you can click on the 17 documentation library. No need to download it. Here we look at the installation and upgrading for on-premise. We'll click on the installation and configuration document, and you will see a link to the tested configurations here. It's an Excel file, so we'll download it and take a quick look. Right. Perfect. So let's take a look at what we need. We'll start with the Oracle database. We would need the 12.2.01, which is supported on the Oracle Linux 7 UL2 update 2. So we are going to use this Linux version for pretty much everything. We'll install everything on top of it, and we'll use this database version. Then let's check the application server, and we can see that Weblogic server 12.2.1.2 is required with the JDK of 180.131. And that should be all for our requirements. So let's go ahead and just start downloading these components. The way to do that would be by logging into the delivery.oracle.com website, and you'll need to have a user password. If you don't, you need to create an account. All right, took a little bit. Log in. So we'll start with the operating system. So we'll just type Oracle Linux, and select the x86 64-bit. We can also look for the Oracle database. Let's see what we have here. Type standard. Let's see if that makes the list any shorter. Okay. Oracle Database Standard Edition version 2 or release 2. Select platform, Linux x86. Then we look for the Weblogic application server. See if that makes it a little shorter. Yes, so the Oracle Weblogic Server Standard Edition, Fusion Middleware, Weblogic Server 12C. same platform. And of course the Primavera EPPM. Be the same platform selected. Alright, so we have these 4 components and we are downloading them to the host computer. You can then share the directory where you download these two on the virtual machine, or you can just download the rest of the components later after you install the virtual machine. So first we'll start with these. Okay, so the latest Linux release is 7.3, but we are looking to download 7.2 per the test configuration requirements, so we'll change it here. This is the latest P6, so that's fine. Weblogic supported, it's checked, it's 12.2.1.2, so we're good here. And the Oracle database edition 2 is right. Go ahead, accept, and let's see what exactly we need to download. So Oracle Linux version 2, you would see multiple files for each software. You only need to download the required files. You don't need to download everything. So this is the ISO file that we'll use to install. We don't need the DVDs or anything, so we'll just right click on it, you save link as, and we'll save it here. Create a directory for it, and we'll name it because these names are meaningless, so just so we know which file is which. So this is the Oracle Linux 7.2. We'll save it here. Primavera, let's see which files are required here. We need we need the Enterprise Project Portfolios Management, the first file, and we'll also need the P6 Professional, the client, the desktop client that we'll install at the very end after everything else is installed. So we'll download this one. Call it P6 EPPM 17.7. We'll download the Professional for EPPM 17, not the Professional Click once, for an enterprise deployment. So we'll do this one, P6 Pro 17.7. We'll download the Weblogic server, so that would be the Oracle Weblogic server. Oracle, let's see, so save link as, that would be Weblogic, and eventually the database. Yes, that would be the first one. Alright, so while the heavy components are being downloaded, we'll go ahead and download and install the VirtualBox virtualization platform. So I'll just open another tab. And we'll just search for VirtualBox. And we'll go to the VirtualBox.org website, go to the download section. I'm installing it on a Windows host. You can be installing it on different hosts, and we'll download the file. It's a fairly quick and short process, and then we'll run the file and go through the simple installation. You can choose where you want it installed. If you want to create these entries, basically just say yes, 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 and install. Alright, and now we can finish and start the application. So at this stage we have the VirtualBox manager installed. I have already one of my virtual machines here. You will not have it if you didn't have VirtualBox before, so don't worry about that. And we'll be waiting for everything else to download so we can start. And once the operating system is ready, or the operating system ISO file, then we can start with the installation. Alright, so the files are now ready, and we can go ahead and start the Oracle Linux installation. So basically you have your Oracle VirtualBox Manager open, and you click on New. Give it a name, for example P6 EPPM, and you choose your operating system. So we're choosing Linux, and we're looking for the Oracle 64-bit edition. If for some reason you only see the 32-bit options, operating system options here, that means that you need to enable virtualization or VT in your computer BIOS. Right, so you have to choose Oracle 64-bit. We do next. We allocate the amount of memory that we would like to have for this virtual machine. I'm gonna give it a little bit more than 7 gigs, maybe 7.5. I'm going to create a virtual hard drive now. You may want to choose it to allocate it dynamically, but since we're going to be using a good portion of this size right away, I would recommend to allocate it immediately. We'll keep it as VDI, fixed size rather than dynamically allocated, and I'm going to change it from 12 gigabytes to 100 gigabytes. Oops. So I need to specify a place or a drive where I have enough space for it. So it's going to be under here. So I created a VMs directory, and I'm going to call it EPPM. And in order to create a VDI file, that is going to take 100 gigs off of your hard drive. Alright, and now I'm going to do create. So this is going to take about 10 minutes or so. So the virtual hard drive has been created. So now we will right click on the newly created VM and choose settings. And here we would go to storage and choose the empty under the controller ID. And here we're going to basically choose the Oracle Linux that we created. I'm going to point it to the right place. So the EPPM downloads. I'm going to choose the ISO file, Oracle Linux ISO file that we previously downloaded. So basically the virtual machine will boot off this CD or virtual CD, and that way we will be able to install the operating system. So we'll choose it here. At this point in time we could also go to General and Advanced and choose the bidirectional shared clipboard option and the drag and drop to be bidirectional as well, so we'd be able to copy and paste between our host operating system and the virtual server. We would also need to install the VBox editions in order to be able to accomplish that. So for now we'll click OK, and then we can just click on make sure that our virtual machine is selected and click Start. Right. Okay, so it's booting, and you would have to click inside that red screen, and it would mention that the keyboard is now the keys that you're pressing are captured and are sent to the VM. And if you want to get out of that screen, you have to click on your right control button on the keyboard in order to get to be released from inside that virtual screen. Inside, you don't need to go and test, but you just browse up a little bit and choose the install Oracle 7.2, press enter. I'm going to make the screen a little larger. Alright, we'll choose English. You choose your own language. Capture, and now we're inside. Just continue. Alright, and everything is decided. So you see that the begin installation is still grayed out. You need to click on the installation source and choose done. Software selection. And then you would choose the server with GUI, and you don't need to choose any other add-on. So basically you're done. And it's still great, so I guess the reason is that you need to click on the installation destination, even though it says it's dynamic, and then hit done again. And now it's clickable. So we'll do begin installation. We would set our root super user password. I'm choosing the very easy password welcome one with capital W. I highly not recommend it for any environment beside this testing type of environment. So do the done, and we have to click done twice because it's really too weak for him to agree. Make sure that we agree to use such a weak password, and now we will let it run a little bit, and the process is now complete, so you can go ahead and click reboot. Hit enter. Right. I guess we have to go ahead and accept the licensing. So I'll click here, and you should accept, unless you're against it, of course. And then we can hit, actually we can create a user, we can call it Oracle. That is the user we'll use to install the applications under, and the database as well. And we can make it an administrator. We'll give it the same password, welcome1, and of course it's going to protest against it, so we have to click twice. And let's see if there's anything interesting here. It's set to, as the network is set to be disconnected, we're going to set it to connect. And we are done here. And we can click Finish Configuration. And now we log in as Oracle. and our operating system is up and running. Our next step would be to install the VBox additions, which will allow us to have the drivers for the VBox, so you would have better resolution. You can copy paste between the machine and the VM. So make sure it's English again, English US, and I'm going to skip these, and we are all set. So start using. Right. I'm going to close this one. So before we go ahead and install the Oracle VirtualBox additions, which will provide us with the drivers for Oracle Linux for the VirtualBox, we need to update the kernel headers first. So you do that through the terminal. You right click on the desktop and you open the terminal, and then we'll type sudo, so we'll run this command as a super user, and then we'll do yum install kernel uek -devel for development -3.8.13 98.7.1.el7 uek.x86_64. Let me expand this a little bit so you can see, just in case. And in order for this to run, you have to make sure that you are connected to the internet. So let's see that we are connected here indeed. And I'll go ahead and press enter. Provide a password. And it's asking if it is okay. Indeed it is okay. And this is okay as well. Shouldn't take too long, in case you were wondering. Perfect. And now can minimize that screen, but it probably doesn't matter. And you will have to hit the right control button, so we could get off or outside the virtual machine screen, and on the VBox software we'll click on devices and insert guest edition CD image, which will mount the driver CD on the desktop, and we can run it. So it suggests to auto run it. We can do that, so go back in and we'll hit run. We'll provide password. This shouldn't take too long either, so no need to worry. It says you may need to restart the Windows system when it's done, and I do recommend we do so. And that's it. So let's reboot. Hit enter. Right, you can already notice that the screen is bigger. We have a better resolution, and we can log in. Our next step would be to share the folder where we downloaded the files to, so we could use them or copy them into the VirtualBox. The easiest way to do so would be to click on Machine and Settings, and then you go to Shared Folders, click on Transient Folders, then you click plus, and then you choose the folder on the host machine where you downloaded the files to. So that was under the PPM downloads, and you give it a name that you'll share in your Linux operating system. So we can call it shared. That's fine, we can leave it as is. We only need to copy the files once. So we'll do shared and OK. And then we need to run a command in order to mount that drive. So we'll open the terminal once again, and we'll simply type sudo mount space -t space vbox shared folder sf. So vbox sf, the name we provided, which is shared, and we need to mount it into an existing folder. So actually, very smartly, I'll open another window here, and under our home folder, say under our downloads, home downloads, I'll create a folder named shared as well. And so if I'll go there, shared, that would be the path to it. And so I'm going to now point to it with the vbox sf mount command. So I'm going to do /, you can probably just copy paste it, right? So copy and then paste and hit enter. Write our password, and basically you would see the shared folder here on your screen, and you can see the files there. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to copy these. We don't need the Oracle Linux one, so we need the database, EPPM. Sorry about that. The database, EPPM, and Weblogic. We don't need the desktop client, we don't need the OS. So let's go ahead and just copy these to our downloads folder. Close those annoying notifications. And P6. And Weblogic. Actually, I copied already Weblogic. So cancel, and the database. So we've basically concluded the first session, and I'll see you in the next video, where we will be installing and configuring the database.